Hi guys, welcome to lesson 3, which is on market supply. The supply curve shows us the quantity of goods and services producers are willing and able to sell at a given price. We can see that the curve is upward sloping. There is a positive relationship between price and quantity. The law of supply is that as price increases, quantity supplied by producers also increases. Profit maximization is one of the main objectives of a firm. As price increases, so do profits, and new firms have more of an incentive to enter the market. That's why the curve is upward sloping. We can see this illustrated on the diagram. As price increases from P1 to P2, the quantity supplied also increases from Q1 to Q2. Movement from point A to B is called an expansion in supply. Let's take a closer look at some of the factors that affect the supply curve. One of the main factors that would cause a shift in the supply curve is a change in the supplier's production costs. If there was an increase in the cost of raw materials, such as coal and wheat, the amount of goods and services producers are willing and able to offer would decrease. We would see the supply curve shift to the left. If wages were to increase, this adds to the producer's cost of production and also causes supply to decrease. If there was an increase in the number of firms in the market, this would also increase supply and cause a shift in the supply curve to the right. Technological improvements can also affect supply. Most supermarkets now have self-checkout machines, so consumers can pay for their own shopping and there is a reduced need to have checkout staff. Less reliance on manpower reduces costs for supermarkets. This allows supply to increase and shifts the curve to the right. A reduction in government taxes, such as corporation tax, would reduce costs for producers. To maintain low prices for consumers, governments may provide subsidies, which are funded through borrowing or taxation. Government subsidies can be in the form of financial aid. For example, there are currently a number of business grants available to help during this uncertain time. Either an increase in government subsidies or a reduction in government taxes would increase supply and shift the curve to the right. Suppliers can choose to invest with the extra funds. This may be in a new factory, which would allow suppliers to increase their capacity and therefore shift supply to the right. In the previous video, we mentioned that the interaction between demand and supply determines the market equilibrium. At this point, the market is balanced and there is no excess demand or supply. What if the market was in disequilibrium? The graph below shows excess demand in the market. At price point 2, demand is higher than supply. Demand is at point B, but supply is in shortage at point A. There needs to be an increase in price, which would cause demand to contract and supply to extend and reach the equilibrium point. This graph shows a similar situation. At price point 2, we have excess supply in the market. This is because price is too high in the market. Supply is at point B, but there is a shortage in demand at point A. To reach equilibrium, price needs to fall, which would result in consumers demanding more, causing an expansion in demand, and supply would contract. And this would allow us to reach the equilibrium point A. Let's summarize. We know that the supply curve is upward sloping, meaning any increase in price also leads to an increase in quantity supplied. This is due to the profit maximization objective of firms. Factors that affect supply include a change in the supplier's cost of production, a change in the number of suppliers in the market, improvements in technology, a reduction in government taxes, or an increase in government subsidies.